Good morning, TopFanRivalry followers, and welcome to another edition on Friday morning of the weekly review. Good morning, Jackson. How are you this morning?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm not going to complain. Been in Las Vegas for the last 2 days. It's a town that doesn't sleep, but I do. I was just telling Amber yesterday. I said, "Boy, Vegas loses money on us because we were in bed by 10:30 last night. We don't drink, we don't, party or do anything like that. So I guess we might be the only people in the city that go to bed at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m."
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you say 10 a.m. That's when most people probably go to sleep.
Yeah, that's probably what most people. Exactly, exactly. So I'm looking out at my window at a very gorgeous, I'm at the New York, and a very gorgeous view of a sunrise over the Park MGM. And I'm looking at the roller coaster where it inclines, and I'm looking at it and thinking, no, I'm not going on that roller coaster. No. Um, all right, my great and good friend, talk to me. What you got for number one?
As a Braves fan, I'm going to pile on the misery and just get it out of the way. Ronald Acuna tore his other ACL, but he was not surgically repaired. He is out for the season, and yeah, it sucks. Sucks to be a Braves fan right now. It sucks to be a baseball fan sometimes because it sucks when good players get hurt.
Well, I had mentioned this before. Mentioned two things before. One, I want to beat your best team. I hate it when people get injured because I want to beat your best team, right? But number two, and most importantly, um, I had mentioned that the Braves, the way they were stacked up this year, they could only afford to have two major injuries. A couple minor injuries here and there, but when Spencer Stash went out, I think I even had told you, don't get another major injury. And now Ronald Acuna being out, um, that hurts.
It
That
the
hurts.
Braves are averaging more than one injury a week to players on their 26-man roster. So I'll just
Yeah.
throw that out there. It's not an excuse. It it's just how the pendulum swings. Sometimes they were really healthy last year. This year they're not so healthy, but they're 8 games above 500. So everybody relax. This is the worst baseball they've played in a while.
Yeah.
But they're also off to a better start than they usually are when they
Yeah.
start slow. So it's kind of a you can't count them out. You know, also they're banged up, and it's just how baseball is. You got to keep playing. That's why they give you a 40-man roster most years.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, all it does is tell me that I need to flip my coin and say that the Braves will not win the division because the Phillies are so hot, but they will be the first wild cards. I don't think the Braves are missing the playoffs this season. I mean, it's going to take an
I don't
awful
think they're.
lot of
I
good
don't think
baseball.
they're. Yeah, I don't think they're missing the playoffs either. But I don't think. I think you need to be wary of statements such as that. I mean, a couple of years ago, we saw what they were 10 back on June 1st when they won
Yeah,
the division. So, and it's not like the Mets played bad that year. So
no,
and anything can happen
no, no, no.
to the half game lead. Yeah,
It's baseball and anything can happen.
yeah,
And
anything
the
can happen.
Phillies, the I I'm not going to say they have to, but the Phillies will hit the dog days of summer at some point and go through what the Dodgers just went through, where they lost like 6 out of 9 or something like that. It's going to happen. And if the Braves win 6 out of 9 and the Phillies lose 6 out of 9 at the same time, well, then you got a divisional race.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm a little cautious that they're going to win the division with those two major.
yeah. I mean, it definitely hurts their chances as a Braves fan. I will say Philadelphia has been really good, and they also are a second half team. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes up. The National League as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll see.
100%. Exactly. Exactly. Well, number one in my book is, and these are in no particular order, so don't at me, don't say, oh, this is number one. Um, the New York Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, are 39 and 18. They are playing really, really good baseball, and they're playing good baseball against the teams that they're supposed to beat and against the teams that are a little bit more difficult. They took 2 out of 3 from San Diego last weekend. They took 2 out of 3 from the Angel, or 3 out of 4 from the Angels, something like that. from the Angels, but everybody's beating the Angels, so that's no big deal. Um, and so, and I had mentioned this before about a week and a half ago. I had made a prediction, and I said that Aaron Judge, or Aaron Arson Judge, however you want to put it, um, would have 32 or better home runs at the All-Star. I said that when he had 13. He now has, after hitting one last night in Anaheim, 18. Uh, with the amount of games that are left to play, all of June tonight, and then all of June, and then I don't know, 6 games or so in July. Uh, I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm feeling pretty confident in my assessment. So I the Yankees are a very, very good team. They're 2.5 up on Baltimore, and they are 10.5 up on Boston. So they're kind of sailing. It doesn't 2.5 up on Baltimore. It's a very good team. Doesn't mean anything, but I like this group of guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, the key is staying healthy for the Yankees. As long as their big bats stay healthy, I think they'll continue to play well. They're finishing out a tough West Coast road trip in San Francisco. But looking at their June schedule, man, they got to play Minnesota, the Dodgers, and then Kansas City 10 games after coming back from a West Coast road trip. That will kind of be a really big test.
It will be. It will be.
I'm
But
not saying like to see if they're legit. It's going to be a really big test. Then they got the Red Sox who are pretty decent this year, with Baltimore than Atlanta. So they got like a 15 game or so. That's going to probably be one of their tougher stretches this season. We'll see how they play to it. I imagine they'll do pretty well because they have the best pitching staff in baseball.
yeah.
And pitching carries you when your offense is not, doesn't get the job done.
Well, and honestly,
Bill,
yeah. What's that?
you can't win if you can't score. The old adage goes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not golf. It's not the lowest score. I like this team, and yes, they do have Minnesota. They do have the 2024 World Champion Los Angeles Dodgers, and they do have the Kansas City Royals. But this West Coast trip had them meeting the Padres and the Giants, who are both very good teams as well.
Yeah, so it's probably like I said, their toughest stretch of the season. A 20, 25. It kind of mellows out a little bit after the All-Star break for them.
Yeah.
But they're the Yankees. They got Soto, they got Judge, they got Garrett Cole's not even back yet. And the Yankees are this good. I guess that's something of note. So it's something to keep an eye on. When they do get Garrett Cole back, how much better their pitching staff might be. So
So I had a chance to watch um, the way that it worked out. I had a chance to watch Marcus Stroman pitch twice this last week. And his approach to the game is very old school Marcus Stroman, and he looks good. He looks very, very good. His record doesn't indicate that he's lights out. I mean, I think he's 4-2 or 5-2. ERA a little high, but his approach to the game is very, very good, and he'll end up doing what the Yankees need him to do, which is win, I don't know, 12 to 14 games this season. If you have 3 of your 5 starting pitchers without Garrett Cole winning 12 to 14 games as a starter for a season, no wonder you're doing so well.
yeah, and I mean, you say old school Stroman. I mean, it's just force the guys to put the ball in play, which I think is in today's baseball. Everyone's trying to strike everybody out, but if you have a guy that can go out every 5 days and induce weak contact or weakish contact, you can allow base runners as long as you strand them. So
Yep.
as long as you can go out and pitch around traffic and get through 6, 7 innings, you're going to be a really good pitcher. And that's why Marcus Stroman's still in the league, because he's able to do those kinds of things.
Yep. 100%. All right, sir. What do you got for number 2?
Number two, well, as the top fan stats guy, my next two are all about stats.
Please.
So Major League Baseball this week
Yes.
announced they will be integrating the Negro League statistics fully. So that is going to change some statistical leaders. And I'm going to put a disclaimer ahead of this. People saying that the Negro Leagues wasn't Major League Baseball. There's a reason for that. And if you overlook that reason, you're just objectively wrong. Um, so uh, Negro League legend Josh, statistical leader in average, on base, and slugging, which puts him. So actually, no, he's in the top three and on base. But anyways, the more important thing is he now leads all time at a 372 batting average. His slugging percentage was 718. He had 1177 OPS. Josh Gibson absolutely is a deserved Hall of Famer and should be talked about more. And I think this project's been so great for Major League Baseball to go in and get these historical records and preserve baseball. I think at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, the Hall of Fame and Major League Baseball should be working together to preserve these statistical things because we keep stats of guys that played in 1860 or whatever. And I think this is a really important era of baseball, even though it is kind of a black eye for the country that something like this happened, that we can go and appreciate the players for how they played because at the end of the day, it was high level baseball. And those players showed when they came over. Jackie Robinson made an instant impact, playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers. So you can't make the argument that they weren't as good or they couldn't have played. Jackie Robinson wasn't even the best Negro player to come to Major League Baseball. So congratulations to Major League Baseball and, Josh Gibson for now etching his name in the conversation for the greatest of all time among, mainstream baseball fans. Stat heads like me, we were already a little bit more familiar, but learn about a player that they never heard of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when they integrated that, that's the first thing I thought about. I thought about Jackie. I thought about Josh Gibson. I thought about some of the players that weren't household names, but should have been. And so it's good. It's good for baseball. It gets rid of that, as much of, like you say, a black eye on the country at the time. It gets rid of that and it puts it in a perspective that baseball wasn't involved in politics. And that's 1000% where we need to be. Right?
Yeah.
Baseball is baseball.
Well, and the significance of Jackie Robinson playing in the major leagues helped advance our country as a whole because it predated the whole civil rights movement.
Mhm.
And it I think it's just a testament to baseball, being for everyone and it being a global game. And I just think it's great. I think it's wonderful. I
It
love
is
looking at all the fun names people have, from back in the day. You get those early 1900s names. There's some fun ones in there. So I
yep,
encourage people to go check the new stat leaderboards and check out what's new.
100%, 100%. Um, that was going to be my honorable mention, so you already got to it. Um, and so my second one is one really hard for me to swallow, but I'm going to. The San Francisco oh, Giants, oof, that's hard to get out, are rolling right now. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They seem to have started clipping very, very well. They're hitting in the right moments. They're beating good teams, uh, and they are now statistically in second place. Although they're one game over 500. The Padres are one game over 500, but the Padres have played two games more than the Giants. So even though they're statistically at the same spot, the Giants are actually in second place. Um, one of the only, if I'm going to call it a dark cloud, which isn't even a way to say it, is they're paying $32 million to a guy who has a 10.40 ERA and still has not recorded a major league win for the Giants just yet, and that's Blake Snell. So congratulations, Blake. You're living the American dream. You're not doing awesome at your job, and you're getting paid $32 million. If I were you, I'd be walking around the locker room singing "God Bless the USA" or "God Bless America," because that's the American dream right there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about in the offseason, it was a high risk gamble, Blake Snell. And, you know, worst case scenario, the Giants are stuck with him for this year and next year if he's bad. He is the second half pitcher. So we'll see if the Dodgers or the Giants. The Giants
Oh, don't ever
trailing
say that.
that the Giants can maintain their good play through the All-Star break, and just stay in the thick of the wild card race because if Blake Snell comes around and is, you know, just above league average Blake Snell, that's fantastic for the Giants with how solid their bullpen is and how timely their hitting has seemed to become. They just need to be in every game to make the playoffs. And I think that's just kind of their team goal. I don't think they're out there trying to run the Dodgers down. I think they're just trying to be a competitive team and get into the playoffs because as we know, if you get into the playoffs, you got a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. The Blake Snell thing. So he is going to collect the $62 million that because he's not going to go anywhere. I mean, even if he has a lights out second half and he goes 7-1 with a 2 ERA over that point, that would put him at 7-4 for the season with an injury, and would bring his ERA down, to about 6. So he's a giant for the next 2 years. I mean, for this year, next year, he's not going anywhere. But like I said, the Giants are clipping. They're figuring out ways to win. That's very, very hard for me to say that. You live by Philly, so it's not hard for you to swallow the name Philadelphia Phillies. I don't live anywhere near San Francisco, so it's very hard to see those guys in orange and black. And like Duke Snyder says, he goes, "I hate the Giants so much, I even hate Halloween because of the colors." So, anyways, that's my number two.
All right. My number three is going to be another stat based one.
Mhm.
The Padres have a reliever named Jeremiah Estrada, who I think quietly this week he has broken the major league record for most consecutive strikeouts. He is a reliever, so he was picked up on waivers from the Cubs at the beginning of the year, and he struck out 13 straight batters over 3 appearances. He struck out 5 straight to end an appearance in Cincinnati in a game that they won on May 23rd. He pitched an inning earlier this week on the 26th, or last week, I guess. They played a weird. No, that was Monday, right? No, that was Sunday. Yeah, last week.
Yeah,
Ooh, it's morning time.
it's
He
all
struck
running
out all
together. It's
five.
all running
Yeah,
together.
yeah, he struck out all 5 batters he faced in that appearance, and then he finished out a game against Miami earlier this week and struck out the side. So the Padres are hovering around 500, but they're going to need their pickups like this because to be good with how they've allocated their payroll over the last couple of years. Um, they are kind of juggling their finances, but this has been quite the waiver pickup. His total stats for the year, he's got a .55 ERA in 12 appearances, 16 in the third innings, 28 strikeouts. Though he just
He's
throws gas.
so he's on fire. Look at that guy.
Yeah, Josh
Eh,
Hader, who is what the Padres are saying.
yeah, Joshua. The, the Astros are cautiously starting to peel back that warning label on Josh Hader, but they haven't completely decided that they want to peel it completely off. Oh, too funny, too funny. Okay, so my number three, Jackson, you did not steal it, but all I'm going to say is glove off. Let's toss it into the stands and let's have a conversation after the game is over. Mr. Lopez, Jorge Lopez, gets so frustrated, he tosses his glove into the stands, then proceeds in the post-game interview to say, "I play for the worst effing team in baseball," and within an hour is DFA. So, first of all, know your audience. You can get away with that. You can get away with that. You can get away with that if you play for a lot of teams, just not New York. You can't. You can't get away with that in New York. So that being said, congratulations, Mr. Lopez. You got DFA'd. Anytime you go back to Queens with any team, you are going to get booed. You are going to get booed. They do not like you there anymore. Sayonara, good riddance, peace out, however you want to say it. But I appreciate competitiveness. I love competitiveness, but I do not like it going to the extreme. And I feel that that's what that was.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's tearing him apart. Uh, I mean, first post game confidence, rightfully so, but throwing the glove doesn't really bother me
Mm-hmm.
because if everybody remembers, Bryce Harper did it last year, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he's such a bad A. He's so cool. Look at the passion." Bryce Harper threw his helmet into the crowd after arguing a check swing, which Bryce Harper was also wrong about. Um, it's just kind of the same thing for me. I think it's always dumb to get yourself ejected in the game and losing your composure as a professional. You kind of just have to. Umpires are a part of the game, and they see things at a different angle than the players do. And I know, and as the fans do, the box on the TV isn't always right. We get to watch it in slow mo replay on the check swing, so it isn't a terrible call every single time. Umpires are human, and it's just something you got to play around. Since you're what, the age of 8, you're playing with umpires. Little league umpires are notoriously bad, so you should be used to it by now, guys. So let's just all chill out, And I think Lopez got DFA'd more for the situation it was in. He started to unravel. He fell apart, got ejected, and it further unraveled. It hurt the team in the end. And the comments from the general manager and the manager kind of just sounded like he didn't apologize for it. He didn't feel bad for it. So that's really kind of what burned him in the end, not his comments. So that is a lesson we can all learn, especially younger ball players. Is sometimes things don't go your way, and the best you can do is just grind through it. If you're a
Yeah,
pitcher and you
best
get
you
the
can do is the best you can do. But
yeah
I mean, I like passion. I just don't like. There's a difference between passion and losing your cool,
yeah
and there's a very fine line in baseball with passion and losing your cool. And that one, you stepped on the losing your cool side.
yeah. As a reliever, you can't let it unravel.
No,
If something doesn't go your way, you limit the damage. You will get a if something doesn't go your team's way, you will get a pat on the back. If something doesn't go your way and you give up 2 runs because you didn't let it spiral. You kept the team in the game.
1,000%, 1,000%. So, very good. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Uh, no, I don't think I do this week. I guess honorable mention the Twins after playing terrible beat the red hot Kansas City Royals 2 out of 3. So they're back in neck and neck with Kansas City. The AL Central continues to be a madhouse
Mhm.
of surprise. The
Yeah,
madhouse of surprises.
yeah, and that was both the central divisions were divisions that you and I had said weren't worth anything, and you can get 85 wins and win that thing. Well, Cleveland's proven that wrong. Minnesota is trying to prove that wrong, and Kansas City is definitely proving that wrong. So, I mean, yeah, yep. If I had an honorable mention, which not too much, I it when we look at the wild cards this year, I am absolutely wrong with what I had said at the beginning of the season. This is why baseball isn't played on paper. This is why you have to play the 162 games. But if I were going to make a prediction I were going to make a prediction, I would tell you that the Mets, even though they're not awesome right now, are going to be a wild card team. Braves are going to be a wild card team, and the other wild card team is going to come out of the Central. Dodgers will win that division, and the Giants and Padres are going to miss the playoffs.
Is that what you think's going to happen, or is that what your heart's telling you is going to happen?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah. No, um, realistically in the NL West, realistically, the Dodgers will end this month with either a 5.5 game lead, a 6.5 game lead, or a 7.5 game lead. If they can expand that lead by 2 games, let's just say it stays at 6.5. The Giants, Padres, and the Dodgers or all lose. Doesn't matter. Say it stays at 6.5. And they can pick up 2 more games at the end of June. Now you're 8.5 at the end of June. Feeling pretty confident there. The Central Division between the Brewers and the Cubs right now is kind of killing it. I the Mets have a really good lineup, and even though they've been banged up, they have a really really good lineup. Once they can figure out how to pitch and hit in the same game, they're going to roll. The problem is they have really really good pitching, and they end up scoring 1 or 2 runs in that game, or they'll have really really good hitting, and they can't pitch. They'll score 4 runs, but they'll give up 6. So once they can figure out that you need both sides of the baseball, then they're going to be pretty good. So they're not going to beat you guys. They're not going to outdo Philly, but I definitely think that they can get us or third, whatever.
I don't think they can run it down with that many teams ahead of them. They would need a lot to go right. I know they're all clumped together right now, but I said it once, I'll say it again. When it's 5 or 6 teams, it starts to get really, you have to outplay 5 or 6 teams
Okay, so let's.
to varying degrees. You know,
Okay.
currently they're 5 games back of St. Louis, who I think is overperforming. But that means the rest of the way out, they have to play at least 5 games better than St. Louis to pass St. Louis. But if Arizona plays 3 games better than St. Louis, you're still behind Arizona. That makes sense.
Yeah, no. They're 5.5 games back, and they have to leapfrog half of the league, half of the National League. But again, if the Mets, and this is how I figure this out. So the Cardinals are out of the wild card by half a game. The Cubs are out of the wild card by a game, right? And I don't think the Cardinals are going to hold that true. Washington's not going to hold it true. Pittsburgh, Arizona, and unfortunately Cincinnati, which I thought Cincinnati would be a lot better than they are. But here's what the Mets do: they win series. They go 4-2, 3 weeks in a row, and then you can talk about them making some progress, right? Don't worry about some winning streaks. Just go win some series. And so I'm looking at their schedule in June. They've still got 3 left with Arizona, and then they get Washington for 3. They get Philly for 2. They get Miami, who's struggling, for 3. And then they get San Diego, which okay, Texas, who's still struggling, and the Cubs. And they finish off the month tough. They finish off the month with the Yankees and the Astros. But when you look at this, if you can take 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4 from Arizona, take 2 out of 3 from Washington, split with Philly in the 2 game set, which that's in London, right? And then you come back and you take 2 out of 3 from Washington. Am I saying anything that they couldn't do?
I mean, they're certainly capable of it, but with their play over the last 3 weeks, it doesn't inspire confidence.
Oh no. If they play like the Mets in April, lights out. They play like the Mets in May, not so
Yeah,
much.
not so much.
Not so much. So, well, Jackson, I think we did a good job with the weekly review this week. For those of you listening to it on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. First of all, the YouTube page. Follow us on X. We've got a lot of good data that's going up on X. Also, follow us on YouTube. We do have if you're watching it in the locker room, which is our on TopFanRivalry.com. Congratulations. You know what it feels like to membership has its perks. You know what that means. But Jackson, if they're watching it on YouTube right now and they're shaking their head and going, what the heck is this locker room thing that this guy is dribbling on about? And then they go to TopFanRivalry.com and realize, oh, there's articles every single week up there written by fans. Oh, wait, there's podcasts back there by the fans. But Jackson, I don't want them to pay full price. So do you have a discount code or anything like that that you can give them that would
If
help them out a little bit?
you use code Jackson while signing up for the locker room, you get 10% off. You can also use it in our team store to get anything, no membership needed for 10% off. But you can
10%
get
off.
both. You can get 10% off your locker room membership, and then you can get 10% off anything in the team store right after you sign up. Read some articles.
And Jackson, I'm not going to lie to you, my friend. I am not going to lie to you. You want to hear something cool? If you're a locker room access member, you already get 10% off on stuff. Then you go and use that same discount code. I Last time I checked, now I went to public school, but the last time I checked, 10 plus 10 is 20. So
Yep.
you get a chance for a measly $58 minus 10%. So for a measly $53, you get amazing baseball content for 12 months. And in addition to that 12 months, you get discounts on everything else, including and not limited to, but including and not limited to um, getting you have an access for a Sandy Koufax baseball card, right? We are starting our collectibles division, Jackson. It's pretty awesome. I have it on good authority that there might be a 1956 um, Don Drysdale card that might be up for grabs.
Pretty
So
good. Well,
yeah, yeah. So all right, Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for the time. Let's go ahead and make it happen, and let's make it a fun week of baseball. Let's come back and talk about it again.
all right. Yeah, sounds good. Talk to you next week.
Have a good one, guys.